I want to thank you guys for tuning into the Bootz Sports Show. I'm your host, Uncle Bootz. And yes, Sunday is a big day for Cowboy fans across the world. Every week seems to be a big day for Cowboy fans, or every Sunday seems to be a big week, because it seems like the games just get bigger, bigger, and bigger. And what we'll find out about this team is, will the Cowboys and Tony Romo get bigger and bigger and bigger and step up to the plate as these games grow. But before we get into this game, I first want to throw out my folks at your dailycowboysfootballfix.com. Definitely check out the website. You'll see this video in its entirety, amongst other videos, as well as other articles written by a great host of guys who are Cowboy fans just like you and I. And if you're not a Cowboy fan, you can still tune in, and we do talk smart football over here, so that might be something that's new, and you might be able to pick up a few tips. We're going to move forward and talk a little bit about the San Diego Superchargers and the Dallas Cowboy game, which will be Sunday. So the Cowboys are going to travel on the road, and it should be a very, very telling game about this team. Now, don't listen to these pundits out there, the media, and even some of the Dallas Cowboy beat writers who are, some of them who are saying, well, let me wait and see about this team. You got every reason to get excited about this team right now. If you take a look at the division is in disarray. You know, you got the Eagles, who are the only other team in the division to have a win, and they're going up against a tough Denver Bronco team on the road, which the odds are stacked. So against them winning that game. So that's why, to me, this is a huge game for the Cowboys, because they can separate themselves from the rest of the NFC least, if you will. The Giants haven't a win yet, nor do the Washington Redskins. So regardless, those guys are a few games behind, and we can build on that lead. But first and foremost, before we do that, we have to prove that our identity is either what we saw in this game against the Rams. Now, let's not make it all about the Cowboys in this sense, because people always make this game about the Cowboys. Well, guess what? The Chargers got to play too. They got to come out and they got to stop Dez, and they got to get to Tony Romo, and they got to play. They got to beat us too. It's not like the Cowboys every week go out and beat themselves. They didn't go out and necessarily beat themselves against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Dallas Cowboys went out there and played a tough game against a pretty tough team, at least for the first quarter of the season. So the Cowboys are going to have to go out and prove that they can win these games. But in order for the Cowboys to lose, the Chargers have to be better than them. And I don't think they are. I don't think they have the personnel to do that. Now, what they do have, who I do like, is I do like the quarterback, Philip Rivers. Now, I think there are a lot of parallels between Tony Romo and Philip Rivers, and not necessarily in the style and the mechanics in which they throw the football. But the fact that they have had a lot on their shoulders and a lot of expectations. And I know Tony came by way of free agent, not undrafted, and Rivers was a top 4. I believe he went 4th, was supposed to be 1st overall, and then the flip-flop with the Giants. He did, Eli didn't want to play in San Diego and all of that. I get it. Whatever. They came different paths, but they both have had similar careers so far, in the fact that they're big arm, big passers, and yet don't really have a whole lot of hardware to be thankful for, that to show for all the yards that they've passed for and all the completion percentage and touchdowns. They don't really have a lot of playoff success. Now, Philip Rivers does have a little bit more of a track record in the playoffs, actually probably a better degree of a track record than Tony Romo, but he was able to ride the back of LaDainian Tomlinson and a good defense for most of that run. And when those things vacated the Chargers, good defense, LaDainian Tomlinson, so did the success of Phillip Rivers and the passing and the reputation of being a mainstay in the playoffs. That all left. And that should show most of you fans the importance of a running game and a defense. Now here comes Dallas. Dallas showed last week against the St. Louis Rams in their 31-7 victory that they can run the football, and they played against a team that was inferior to our offensive line. So we took advantage of that and ran all over them. So Dallas Cowboys can run the ball. Can we pass the ball? Of course we can. Tony Romo is one of the most efficient quarterbacks this year, as is Phillip Rivers, one of the most efficient quarterbacks this year. So you are able to see Tony play off the run game, or if he needs to step it up in the passing game, you're able to see him throw for more yards. Now, I believe Tony has been hurt since that Giant game. So a lot of you who might be looking at Tony and saying, well, he's pretty efficient. Tony's been banged up. He was taking injections for his ribs. I think he'll be a lot better, and you started to see that this week. Tony was making some really good throws. I think this week you'll see Tony back very close to 100%. So if his arm is needed to be counted on for most of the game, and you best believe it might be, then I think Tony's can man up that task. I don't think he was healthy enough to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, last week or 2 weeks ago. So those are just some things that I wanted to bring to the forefront about this game. Cosmetically, the quarterback position, both of these guys are probably chasing their legacy right now. They're probably trying to establish it, who they want to be. Both of these guys are probably, in Phillip Rivers and Tony Romo, are probably trying to, this is it. I think that for Tony as well, I think this is it. This cast of guys that you're surrounded with right now is probably how you're going to have to win it. This is who you're going to have to win it with. Because I don't think it's going to get much better than DeMarco Murray and Des Bryant and DeMarcus Ware and Sean Lee, etc. I don't think it's going to get much better than this. And I think this is about as good as Tony's had it. On the flip side, the San Diego Chargers, they've had a lot better talent than what they got now. Now, Antonio Gates, it looks like he's revitalized, like he's found a fountain of youth, because the last couple years, he hasn't looked good, including Phillip Rivers. They both seem to struggle, not with health and or production. So this year looks like Antonio Gates is making cuts, coming out of his breaks faster, just looks to be healthier, looks to be a tick faster than he had been the last couple years. Phillip Rivers is having a pretty good year as well, not turning the ball over, not throwing a lot of interceptions. But here's where I think this game is going to be a little bit more in the Cowboys' favor than most people think it will be. I just don't think that the Chargers have the talent to match up with the Cowboys. I really don't. I don't think they have the wide receivers that are going to scare our corners or our secondary. I don't think they have the running back that's going to go out there and mash it up. I'm not sold on Ryan Matthews. I'm sure he'll break off a couple runs. But the Dallas Cowboy defense seems to be doing a very, very good job, defending the run. Now, where this team can cause some problems is they like to flare it out. They like to throw to the backs. They like to Danny Woodhead and Ryan Matthews. They like to get the ball in the air to these guys and keep it a short game. And that does concern me a little bit, because if you look at the way the Dallas Cowboys lost games or lost a game this year, they lost it because of short passing, short plays. Alex Smith was able to keep plays alive with his feet. Phillip Rivers can't do that, but he's able to complete short throws. Now, Phillip Rivers can do that, and he can do it with the ball will get there a lot faster and more accurate. So, can this game be a close game? Absolutely it can. The NFL is not a game all the time, at least during the regular season. The NFL's not always about the best man always wins. It's not always about that. A lot of other sports, that's the case. Football, it's not always the case that The best team always wins. It doesn't always happen in the regular season. I'm not going to tell you the Cardinals are going to win a Super Bowl if they were in the playoffs or anything like that, because they don't have the talent to do that in the playoffs. But they are capable of beating any other team in the game because of it's any given Sunday. But I don't think this Sunday, for 60 minutes or more, if it goes into overtime, that the Chargers can put enough talent on the field to match up with the Cowboys. Cowboys are playing very good. Here's where the Cowboys must, and I don't think it's a must, I think they will. I don't think it even has to be said. But the Cowboys have to dominate that front line. And I think they will. I don't think that the defensive line of the Dallas Cowboys can be stopped with the talent or lack thereof that the Chargers are going to put out there. They're banged up front. They got guards possibly sliding outside to tackle. They're losing players on at right tackle, left tackle. If you want to throw names like King Dunlap out, DJ Fluker is a great prospect, but he is not ready. I don't think he's ready for, obviously, DeMarcus Ware, but I don't even think he's ready for George Selvey, who's been around the block a little bit and playing very good football with the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think he's ready for that. He's got a very slow step. That kick step is a little slow coming off the ball, and I think he puts himself in situations, talking about DJ Fluker, that are not advantageous to stopping and defending and protecting their quarterback, who will be exactly in the same spot. You can put an X, and his launch point will be exactly the same spot. He's not a guy that's going to get out on the perimeter. We all know that. So it should make it very, very easy for that pocket to be a fluid pocket or collapse. I need to see penetration, and I think you'll see all that. And I think that's what will ultimately win this game for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think the running game is going to be what we saw last week. Now, the Chargers do have to pick their poison. Because, and most teams, and this is what would be interesting to me, the Cowboys have to recognize how they're being attacked or how they're being approached defensively. So they have, and they've been doing a good job of that since Garrett's been here. They've been doing a good job of taking what the defense give you, if you want to use that phrase. But they have to recognize it. If they're going to double Dez, they're going to double Witten, or they're going to back guys off because they're scared of the pass, like the Rams did, then the run has to work. The run has to work. We have to attack their linebackers. Manti Te'o is supposed to make his rookie debut. I'd love to see a couple tight end sets and get him confused, whether run, pass, misdirection, get him going on some play action. I'd like to see him tested right away. Don't give him confidence to get out there and the first play be a run play and let him make that tackle for a loss and give him that confidence that he can play in this league. He still doesn't know yet, and we need to make sure that he doesn't find out yet if he can play in this league. So, I don't think they're secondary. Now, I do like Eric Weddle. Eric Weddle is a good player, but he's more of a jack of all trade player. He's not a dominant safety. He's not a dominant corner. He plays kind of a hybrid. He'll come out and cover. He'll play. He's kind of like, he mixes it up. Very good at that. Very good at that. But I don't think he's a great safety. You can catch him on some play actions, and if you get DeMarco Murray open in the open field and he lowers his shoulder, I won't say lower his head because I know that's a penalty, but if he lowers his shoulder, Eric Weddle is not the most physical guy. He's not going to blow the play up. So you can definitely get plays on him. I like to see us attack the outsides, and I'm switching gears a little bit. Defensively, I like to see us attack the perimeter of that offensive line of the San Diego Chargers. Whether it's Mike Harris out there, whether it's King Dunlap, whether it's DJ Fluker, whoever they have at the outside, I think that's where the pressure's got to come down. And Hatcher, I believe, can beat anybody in the league because he hasn't been blocked yet this year. So we couldn't block him in camp, and no one else is blocking this guy, and he's looking like a very, very, very dominant player, chasing possibly a Pro Bowl this year and upping the ante on whatever contract he signs, whether it's with us or with someone else. Hopefully it's with the Cowboys. So we know we're probably going to be without Miles Austin, and obviously Spencer, since my last show, has been ruled out probably for his career with at least the Dallas Cowboys and potentially with the NFL. Maybe he never plays again. Now, you look at Miles Austin, the absence of Miles Austin. Jason Garrett always talks about how, injuries create opportunity. And I do agree. I do agree with that. Most times. It doesn't always create opportunity. Sometimes it creates a casualty. Sometimes it creates a deficiency. Okay? If Tony Romo goes down, I don't look at that as an opportunity. I look at that as a deficiency now that Kyle Orton, and no disrespect, Kyle Orton, you can still click the thumbs up button on my, I know we got off on a bad note with that, but still click the thumbs up and subscribe to the page. But if Kyle Orton is playing, let's be fair, it's not an opportunity. Okay? So, with Miles Austin being out, I do believe that Terrence Williams will have an opportunity to showcase his talent. Now, I don't think the offense is going to run through him, but it may have to for a series or two, or it may have to in a key moment, because if they're smart, the San Diego Chargers, they're not going to let Dez go crazy. And there's starting to be a blueprint. You look at about two out of three of these games we played, Dez has kind of been manageable. Manageable. He hasn't been, now granted, he did go crazy on the Kansas City Chiefs, but if you look at the Giant game, they handled him pretty well. So the Ram game, they did a really good job on Dez. Now the Cowboys could have probably attacked and forced more balls to him. Maybe Tony would have 3 or 4 picks now instead of the respectable numbers that he has right now. So we're going everybody that suits up, and I hear Joseph Randle suiting up, and I wish we had him last week because I think he would have took advantage of some of the things that the Rams were doing. I think he's a very good runner. I think that he sees holes a lot faster. He's not necessarily a better back than Murray, but he knows how. I think he's a better his running ability is better than Murray's. He's not going to run directly into a block of a guy who's busting his butt down the field to block. He's not going to run directly into him like he didn't see him and fall out of bounds. So those are some things that he'll bring to the table, and he'll get them short yards and maybe help us in the red zone because he had a nose for the end zone at Oklahoma State. So some of these guys are going to be counted on in this game. I think the Cowboys should run away with this game, but it's on the road. Phillip Rivers is always a fighter. He's scrappy. So there's never, ever a simple science or an answer for it. But I think if the Cowboys understand, and I know they do, because I'm not the Cowboys. Listen, this is a multi-billion-dollar business, football. No matter what you think of Garrett, no matter what you think of these coaches, these scouts, these guys are the best in the world at what they do. So we may think we know this and we know that, but those guys know that if they know anything about, which I know they do, this game is huge. And it's not the biggest game in Tony's career, but the Cowboys have always failed to sustain momentum. That's one of their biggest crutches, if you will, or nemesis, Achilles heel, whatever phrase you want to use. It's always been sustaining momentum. Don't go out here and beat up on the Rams and then lose to the Chargers. Go out there and step on these guys' throats. They do not have the talent the Cowboys have on both sides of the ball. And I'm not being biased. This is a fact. This Cowboy team right now, which I think is the best Cowboy team in a long time, especially with for Tony, with his weapons that he has and the protection that he's getting, I don't think Tony should end up on his back all day long. And I don't think that Phillip Rivers should be standing up in that pocket comfortably throwing that football. Now, expect Phillip Rivers to check down and do a lot of short throws, and that's fine. That's fine. I think you're going to see a big day from Claiborne. I mean, their wideouts shouldn't scare you. It shouldn't scare you at all. You shouldn't be fearful of anybody on that team, because you're gonna tell me that Antonio Gates is gonna go for 200 yards on us and he's gonna be uncoverable? I doubt that. We got some pretty good athletes out there on the field. So Cowboys should definitely look at this opportunity to get some of these guys. Cole Beasley, I know that might sound like a funny name to some people who aren't really in tune with the Cowboys, but he's a very good guy to have in the slot. He's hard to, even a little, if you saw that little 7-yard catch he caught against the Rams last week, he's a shifty guy, and he kind of finds lanes, and he knows how to get skinny. He knows how to do things to get himself open, create space, and get extra yards. He's a tough little scrappy dude. And so, get a guy like Dwayne Harris out there. These are guys that made plays for us, Dwayne Harris also making a play for us last week for a touchdown. These are guys that can make plays. I mean, there's no question about it. You line one up in the inside, whether it's Cole Beasley, you could line up Dwayne Harris on the other side. You can come out 4 wide, 3 wide. Terrence Williams. These guys can make plays and get open, and I believe they will, even without Miles. I think they'll buy him some time. And I think that there's an underlying theme to the Miles Austin injury. And I'm hoping it is anyway. I believe it's, let's sit him this week because I think we can manage this week without him and get him ready for next week, because you will need him next week against Denver Broncos. And we will talk about that. We're not looking ahead, but we are peeking ahead. And because you always got to peek ahead and know what's coming up. Listen, if we can come out of here with a victory, and I don't want to be greedy, but I wanted a decisive victory. Like, I want to be known that, we're a better football team, but I'll take whatever I can get. But that would set the table nicely for Peyton Manning and Tony Romo. That'll be beautiful. Now, we're not going to count our chickens yet, but we do realize the potential of this game. 3-1 would be big. It'd be big for Cowboy fans. It'd be big for the organization. It'd be big for anything involving, and I think it'd be good for football to see the Cowboys relevant again, because they will be relevant if they win this game here. All the talk about, they beat, and you know what happens, guys. When we played the Rams, people were picking the Rams, people were picking the Cowboys, and they were saying, you know what, this Ram team is a different team. Their defense, their pass rush. I was hearing all these raggedy numbers about, the last couple years they led the league in sacks. Nobody's had more sacks than them since all the stuff they were talking about. The corner's playing good, Jenkins is playing good, so is Cortland Finnegan. And then when the Cowboys beat the mess out of them, then it's, they beat the Rams. They didn't beat anybody. Well, they went out there and they played the 49ers. The 49ers go out and beat the Rams, and all of a sudden the 49ers are back. The 49ers are back because they were now they're back. So don't let the media dictate how you enjoy your season. Now I'm gonna tell you, because there's a little sunshine pumping going on right now. I'm not gonna lie. If we lose this game, I'm gonna be very upset. And I'm jumping off. All this, I'm jumping back. I'm jumping off. This is a game that they must win, and I think that they will win. And I think that this will set the season for a nice season for these Cowboys. Let's go out. Let's get a victory. Let's coach it well. Let's see some more of the offense open up. I think you'll see some more things that we didn't see. That's usually what I believe teams do. I can't prove it. I don't have facts on it. But I believe every 3 or 4 games, teams open up and unveil more. That's what they do. They come out the first 3 games and they show something, and then they try to freshen up, So I think we'll start to see that, some more things. Maybe you'll see some more screen passes. I'd like to see Escobar. You're starting to see him come on. See some Hannah come out in 2, 3 tight end sets. I want to see them be more exotic. Now, if you want to talk about something that's missing from this team, it's exotic. It's that exotic package where Witten's, lined up where he normally lines up, and then you got Hannah in the slot, and then you got Escobar in the slot, and then you motion out the back. Like, I want to see that, come out, tight, and then motion, get guys out, like, make guys have to think and question, show them something they haven't seen on film, Jason Callahan. So listen, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to be excited. I just want you guys, definitely subscribe to my page, and definitely hit the like button. I appreciate all your support, and definitely don't forget about your daily CowboysFootballFix.com. Once again, guys, go Cowboys. Cowboy Nation, I love you. And hopefully I'll be all smiles when we come back for the post-game show. I'm out of here.